Put your red shirt on and a brown coat too. Everybody's joining the crew. We got just one ring, let we rule them all. Hope you'd remember your towel. Get your Ulu feathers and your middle guns. A sonic screwdriver or a sword plus one. Use Valerian steel if it will get you to come. To the pit tank. To the pit tank. The Rocky Mountain pit tank.
Hi, I'm Guy.
Hi, I'm Troy.
Hi, I'm Alex.
And this is Geek Tank.
Your FAFO sized podcast.
Yes. It is FAFO.
So, what does that mean? I don't know. I'm dumb.
I don't know. Fudge Awards for ovaries. I don't
Ovaries.
Functional ankle foot orthosis? What?
Yeah.
I have that problem all the time.
Oh, fuck around and find out. Okay.
There you go. Oh.
I mean, we're here in After Dark. We can swear, right? Because if not, well.
We can. I'm just being coy.
Yes, FAO Schwartz.
Around and find out.
About Schwartz. Or something. I don't know.
So, hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
I think probably one of the funniest responses I've seen related to last week was a friend saying, remember, you don't have to use this as an excuse to break your sobriety. So, and of course, I had to post a GIF of somebody taking a drink and then spitting it back out with the caption, oops. So,
yeah.
I have been taking it upon me, the way to deal with this other than alcohol is to kind of dive into the mindset of the people that I am pretty darn sure aren't intending for the world to explode and burn, but yet lean to that direction. So I could figure out, why are they leaning that direction? Why did they cast a vote the way they did? And to make it really simple, because it is a complex thing, it really comes down to they don't see the danger.
Mm-hmm.
They disbelieve it. And unfortunately, the only way to show them they're wrong is for it to happen. And so I'm hoping I'm wrong and that they're right, but I really doubt it. I really doubt it.
I mean, that's my whole thing is I'm okay. Now the situation is the way the situation is. I'm just hoping that I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But we've already had a couple of really wild declarations, and now that there is power in place, some serious potential problems can occur.
Yeah. I mean, like one of the problems that there's two things I saw. One is a friend of a friend, and I think it's a friend that you also have friended as well, Guy. The friend of the friend I don't know, but the friend, of course, I know, is concerned that they will be deported because they are involved in a same-sex marriage, and that is how they have citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
If same-sex marriages are abolished and not considered valid anymore, that would invalidate his citizenship, which means he would be deported.
Oh, wow. That's complex.
Supposedly his immigration attorney has told him, yes, this is what's going to be going on. So that, to me, again, this is just me reading posts. I don't know how much of it's true. But this person, it sounds to me like this person believes it's going to happen. The other thing I just heard on the radio today is that kids, even though they are American citizens, if their parents aren't, when their parents get deported, the kids will be deported too. So basically deporting American citizens.
Yeah.
So both of these things I hope do not happen.
Right.
And these are the things that before the election, many of us were going, no, these things will happen if you do this. And people didn't believe it. So we will see, I guess. We will find out.
On a somewhat related note, remember, I'm a naturalized citizen. So
You just
we'll
say.
see what fucking happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair, Bob.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe we should put a warning out there for that.
Or
if
we
we're gonna
could,
talk
or we could shift gears because I have a whole other thing we could talk about.
what other thing do you have to talk about?
And the two of you are people I need to talk to about it.
Huh? What? Who?
It's D&D related.
What?
So
No.
I know. So that's much more fun.
Yes.
And actually, I hope Bob hasn't left, but he may have already left.
That's not Bob. He has stamina from what I read. But in any case, one of our players, I'm not going to name names because I don't want, although anybody who knows us will figure all this out. One of our players feels that I did a bad job with the thing that happened regarding Vecna. They feel that it was not clear that something bad was going to happen, and that it should have been more clear that it was an evil presence that was making the deal. They also claim that the deal wasn't a deal and shouldn't be valid because there wasn't enough words involved, I guess is the way they're putting it. And I thought I did a really good job, and I thought it was extremely clear what was about to happen. But I need input from other people because I, of course, know what I'm thinking. And one of the biggest problems with running a D&D game is with any kind of mystery in it is putting out just enough clues that you're making it fun, but it's still possible to solve, but not obvious. Finding that balance of like, did I give enough clues that it's possible to solve, or was it way too vague, kind of thing? I feel like, at least from facial expressions, I thought Alex could see when I did the "Are you sure you want to do this?"
Oh yeah, I was clued in that this was a bad thing. Don't fucking do this. Excuse me. Excuse me while I take some of my thinking juice.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about, right, Guy?
Yep.
How present were you in that moment in the scene when the character was trying to cast magic without all the proper materials and was reaching out to the ether for help? Or
So
were you
I've
drawing?
actually had lots. No, I was listening. I've had discussions with this individual.
Well, let's. I think we were involved. We were at the session.
Yeah,
we
we
know
were
what
at
you're
this.
talking about. But I think we may have mentioned some of this on the podcast. But I think we need to take a few steps back.
Okay.
For the people who in our audience and for people who may be in our audience who don't know what's going on. Unfortunately, this is going to mean Troy's going to have to talk a lot.
With politics has wiped out our viewership.
Okay.
We've gone from like 4 to 1.
Sweet.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, but anyway,
this is still something I need to solve. So yeah,
and this is still something that you need to like. Why are we in this position? Yada yada yada. You need to lay some groundwork here. So like you have
okay,
and what led up to that part of the session too, because you actually had some other stuff happen immediately beforehand.
Yeah, so I'll try to do this so it doesn't take the entire hour. So real brief overlay of the land. Mistra, if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons and Faerun, Mistra is the goddess of magic and holds all the weave and threads together to help magic actually happen. She has died in canon a couple of times, therefore she has died in my game as part of the plot, which has caused magic to go all crazy and not work as well as it should. Wild magic. In addition to that, the goddess Saloon has also been killed, which has caused healing magic to have a lot of problems and not work for everybody. And one of the big plot points in the game is only followers of Tyr and only followers of Tyr can heal and resurrect, with the exception of a player whose character is immortal, whose mother is Saloon, and is able to cast healing spells still and resurrection spells.
Right. Troy has done a thing where he's made kind of Greek style demigods in D&D Forgotten Realms, which isn't a D&D Forgotten Realms thing. Right. So most of the player characters are half deity. And one of our characters was mothered by Saloon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this character can still heal and still cast Resurrection, but it does require still all of the requirements of the spell. So you still have to, if it says semantics and material stuff, you have to do semantics and material stuff. It's you can't just cast it for free. So no free resurrections without diamond dust. This character wanted to resurrect some NPCs that were innocent NPCs that had gotten killed, but didn't want to invest the money into it, and therefore was attempting to resurrect without material components. I decided I might have this order wrong. They might have tried healing first without material components, succeeded, and then tried resurrection without material components.
Right, and I think those were two different instances as well in game. I don't think it was the same thing. Or the same kind of thing, like there wasn't a bunch of hurt people and a bunch of dead people, and they went, I'm going to tap into my deific power to heal the hurt people. Okay, that worked, awesome. I'm going to do it again to do the resurrection.
Right.
And also before, oh yeah, so then they tried this a couple times.
Right. The healing worked.
Yeah.
And but let me lay this out mechanically too. They wanted to try it without the material goods, so I just decided, okay, I'm going to roll percentile 1 through 100. 90 and above, it happens. 1 through 10, something bad happens. And it hit the above 90 on the healing part, and therefore it happened without the material components. And so that's when the player decided, cool, I'm going to up it and resurrect someone from the dead. And they rode below the 10% eventually. And
a tangent.
Yes.
So the first time this player character tried to do this, my main character was busy dealing with something.
Different problem, a subplot.
A different problem. A fallout from what had just happened. So while the character we're talking about was going, you know what, I'm going to do the healing fallout. Well, my character was like very concerned about a particular individual and was working and was trying to be with them. I have another character in the game because my main character was actually like bound by law for something like 6-7 months. And so Troy said, instead of you not being able to play, how about you have another character? And I'm like, cool. I've got all sorts of character concepts. Let's go. So this particular character is a warlock and a hexblade warlock. So they are in the service of the Raven Queen. And Troy said, hey, can you switch gears? And I'll go, sure. Okay, well, your character has received a letter to come to this place at this time to stop whatever's happening there. And my character is an assassin. My warlock is a mage killer. And so, okay, cool. Well, that's what I do. You know, I get my marching orders. Let's go. And so the thing was stop this thing from happening.
Because the Raven Queen's vague.
Yeah, because the Raven Queen's vague and mysterious, which I like. You know, some Dale Kingsmill there, and vague and evocative. And so then Troy in game gave a warning already through my secondary character.
Mm-hmm.
And then later that same night, not the same session, but the same night, the character goes again upstairs. Instead of being in the exact place where they were trying it, they're trying it again in a different place, I thought, and maybe not. But after the warning's been given by Troy in game, goes for it again and then rolls the below 10.
Yeah, and I think before your character showed up, the Raven Queen actually appeared and gave him the "don't do this" and left.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one warning. Two warning.
Oswald showing up, and so then the third time, he's still wanting to do this and cast Resurrection without material components. He didn't even try doing it with material components. So it was just
right, because we have established in game that character can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we totally made that happen. And we're like, awesome.
Yeah. And I get that they wanted to try to push their powers up and beyond that. And I did find out a little bit more that I'll get into after this, but I didn't know this at the time, or I might have called a timeout in the game and said, no, you're wrong. You're working with false information here. But they tried, and I rode 3 or 4 times, and nothing was happening. And I'm like, as he kept trying, I'm like, are you sure you want to keep doing this? And he said, yes. And I said, well, do you want me? I'm either going to get something really bad or something really good. Do you want me to keep rolling until that happens? And he said, yes. So it was like 12 or 13 rolls. I finally hit.
Yeah,
like
it wasn't
one.
just you didn't just say flip a coin.
Yeah.
You're like, eventually something's going to happen.
Yeah. So I just kept rolling the dice because there was a chance that after about 10 minutes of rolling, if nothing happened, he might have realized maybe I shouldn't do this. But
Yeah.
But something finally happened, and it was bad. I had nothing planned for this. I didn't know this was going to go this way, other than I knew the Raven Queen, her domain is dealing with the dead, and that's why she's like, stop trying to break the rules, and sent a warning. So I quickly looked online,
Must
and
be this godly.
break
this rule.
So I looked online to see who are the gods that are all about death and such, besides your big players like the god of murder and such, and Bane, I think, is the other one.
Yeah, Merkul, the Lord of Bones.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I don't want any of these guys. I want someone who's not a player yet. I want a NPC villain who you guys haven't even heard of, who's going to be brought into this now because of this event. And when I looked it up, Vecna has the power to do this, and he's a necromancer, undead lich, super powerful guy. And it just so happened under there, it was like arch enemy of Raven Queen. And I'm like, damn, this fits so well.
Perfect. Yeah.
So so I'd said, okay, you hear a voice, and the voice says, what is it you ask? It's like, well, I want all these people to be, better, and to I feel like they were all the dead ones or something that off the head.
This one might have been I think this might have been a mass heal situation, because they were.
I
remember this was upstairs, not in the crypt.
Yeah, he had backed away from the resurrection. This is just like a huge mass heal spell that still requires material components, but he was refusing
and spell
to use
slots
those.
And everything. But they didn't. They didn't want to go through the normal
channels. And so this ethereal voice, and I feel like I did a pretty evil voice. It wasn't like, but it was like what is it you wish to offer me in return?
Right. Yeah. You didn't have the little puppet from Addams Family going, sure, I'll clean my room in exchange for your immortal soul.
Yeah.
Sorry, guy, I walked over you.
Oh no, I was just making commentary.
Okay.
But thank you. But
what was the commentary?
I don't remember. I was making snarky comments. That's
I'll have to go back and watch the show now.
I mean, as in, like, I wasn't making anything serious.
And so I thought that by saying, what is it you will sacrifice, that should have been a big enough clue to, like, maybe don't talk to this thing. And the answer was everything. And so then Vecna's response was done. And the mass heal spell worked. And then a symbol of Vecna appeared on the character's chest, and they passed out. Or they passed out and the symbol appeared. But in any case, this character now has received a favor in return for an unspecified other favor. So unlike a warlock, this is not a pact. This is not an ongoing thing. The character's not going to get replenishable favors from Vecna in return for service to Vecna from now on out. It's just a thing that Vecna is going to ask for in return. And the player was more upset that night than I realized, because it wasn't until later that I found out they were really upset about that happening. But they thought, when I was telling them why did you keep trying to do things without material components, that the answer was Alex could do stuff without material components. And I'm like, when has this happened? And it was, well, when Alex turned into the form of Illustri and did, I'm like, but none of that, there was nothing that Alex was doing that Alex couldn't do as Julie. There was no additional powers granted in that form. It was just took on that form. The whole breaking of the chains and everything, that's stuff that's already built into Julie. And somehow Kevin had misinterpreted, I guess, the way you were doing things as breaking the rules. And so he was trying to break the rules in that way. So that led to his insistence on trying to tap into his godliness. and I think blinded him to the multiple clues that you should not be pursuing this path. And he feels like his character is now entirely useless and taken out of the game and can't do anything. I know, and it's like you don't even know what's going to be asked of you yet. And the only negative effect is you've got what looks like a birthmark on your chest. You haven't felt any negative effects of it. But
And
they're kind of resigned already to, well, my character's dead until this is gone, and I can't do anything to get rid of it. Which made me feel bad as a GM.
Well, first of all, Alex has already kind of chimed in, and I've been kind of listening to the whole thing here and thinking about this because I've actually been talking to him this entire time and kind of trying to get an idea. Now, I think part of this is it went a direction he doesn't want his character to go, which we had the same problem with Ivy for a while there. She was being regarded as too stupid to go on missions with us for a while there. And it was because I had been playing her as stupid because it was funny, and that was great. But then it had this adverse effect of, we can't take Ivy, she'll ruin everything. So, I had to kind of tone her back a little and fix it. And we fixed it in story by putting her with Bach's fathers so that she had a little bit of in story time of how to fix that.
And reason to not be the way she was.
And reason to not be that stupid. Right. And so that was an important in-story resolution of it, which is why, because I think I had even said, let's retcon it or something like that. And you were like, I don't want to retcon it. Understandably so. But I think that if you're going to bring up something, bring that up, which was, Ivy was also going a direction the guy didn't want, but we had to fix it in story. So I'm willing to fix it, but let's fix it in stories. If you're headed that direction, I would recommend going there. As far as this goes, it was clear to me, since I've already composed an Ivy song about Valeria ruining everything, so which I won't actually use now, but I composed one in that game because of that. And so clearly, at least Ivy knew what was going down. And I hate to say this, but if Ivy's got a clue on these things, but it's so I think the biggest problem we have is and this is kind of a thing about gaming in general and dealing with games that I have been observing, especially with my own group, but also with other groups. There's a certain amount of investment that you get into your character, that you want your character to be the hero, and you don't really like it when your character's not the hero. And especially whenever you didn't mean for it to end up that way. And I think that that's one of the things that, for example, when I was dealing with Ivy, I wanted to play a fun character, but I didn't want her to not be a hero, and there's a difference between that. I wanted her to be funny and silly, but I don't want her to not be a hero.
Yeah, you didn't want her to be always carrying the idiot ball.
Right.
Like everybody does kind of dumb things, we just do. But you didn't want to always be the person doing the dumb things.
Right. And Troy legitimately had a couple of hard choices at some point where it was like, look, I'd be stupid. What am I supposed to do here? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing we can do. So there were times where I can kind of see that. I had even, I think at the time, had said something to the effect of, had I been GM, I would have just bent the story. And that's not the way Troy plays. That's not the way Troy runs games. He doesn't run it like I do. And that's totally reasonable. And there's nothing wrong with it. Not even a complaint. But it is an observation that you rolled the dice. That's what you do. And honestly, I don't think there's a soul in our group that doesn't know that when you start rolling dice, things are going to either go one way or the other, and you leave it up to the dice. You're known in our game for going, I need you, Alex, to look at this roll to know exactly to prove and verify. You know what I mean? You've been known to do that many times. You give it to a player to the left or to the right, say, look at the roll. I want you to verify that I rolled this.
And I try to restrain my dice rolls to situations where I feel like they're going to make a difference, not just frivolous dice rolls.
Yeah, you can't sit there and like leave it to chance, and then, I mean, you can bitch about it, but you don't really have a leg to stand on. You know, you can complain about it, you can be butthurt about it, but you don't really have a leg to stand on if the chance doesn't go your way. I think, as we've recapped, I think that you did what you should have. I think you did what you could do.
I think so too.
I mean, like you gave several in-game warnings. You gave metagame warning of, I'm going to roll dice until something happens. It's going to be good or bad, right? And here's the thing: this particular individual is a Christian, and you know what? I'm going to just say it: Satan and demons and all that shit, they don't come on being all evil and shit. Come the fuck on,
right?
Like let's get real here. You know, if that is your spiritual center, or how you look at the world spiritually, then it's like, oh, it'd be really easy to go, wait, that's Satan over there. Oh, I shouldn't listen to what that guy's trying to tell me. As opposed to, he's, you know, like Al Pacino, devil's advocate. Right?
Yeah, and really, like, it could have been far worse if I wanted to exploit that. They would have showed up and said, "Yeah, I'm Ao. I'm the big god of everything. Let's make a deal."
Yeah, or everything cool. I'm taking your DFX Spark.
Right.
Like, come on.
Roll a new character.
Yeah, that's really like, okay, well, you said everything, so that character's an NPC now. And you know,
and the everything is all of your friends that you have to go kill now,
which would have been a really shitty thing to do.
Yeah,
and you didn't do that.
I didn't do that.
I think that we ended on a bit of a cliffhanger last session. Not a cliffhanger, but sort of a, here's new information. Tune in next time to see what they do with this new information.
Several games earlier, Julie and the group had come up with this plan about scry and die, I think is what you were calling it, where you're going to send a hit team into the ship and cause havoc. And so the Lords of Waterdeep were like, well, let us get people together and get our hit teams organized and get this plan going. And so all this time that's been happening, and now it's ready to go. And that's the next stage that your group is going to go be part of.
Then there was some information that you gave me as playing Oswald that hasn't been shared with the rest of the group yet, which is Vecna is super evil. Yeah, his general Kaz also was super evil, even though Kaz had standards. He's like, wait a fucking second, but like you had said, it's like one thing that, like, you know, the for Vecna to come back, he needs to have all his stuff,
right?
And his stuff is basically hidden in places where he can't get to, and like no one that would serve him would be able to get to.
Right, it's magically protected against evil.
Because I made the comparison to the what is it, the 1980s Warlock movie, where the Warlock, in order for the Warlock to come back, he needs to have something or whatever, but you know, Salt is Athenema to said Warlocks, the movie Warlocks, and therefore they like buried it in a random location in like the Great Salt Flats. Like, suck it, Warlock. You know, it's like, you know, and that makes sense. So I mean, putting 2 and 2 together, it's pretty obvious that that's probably what Villar is going to be told to do. Get me my earplugs. Yes. Now all powerful.
So, before we move on, I do have stuff to follow up with that, but we are at that bat time.
All right.
Oops, wrong set there. There we go.
It means you have to push the button.
I do. I'm trying to find it.
Where we say the Geek Tank. It's sponsored by Kieran Games, Geekway Homes, the Massage Wizard, and
your mom. If you're interested in D&D stuff, contact Kieran Games. They got lots of D&D stuff for sale.
Yeah, actually, really. And Geekway Homes knows all about that stuff too.
Geekway Homes doesn't
actually come to think of it.
I was gonna say, but they don't sell the D&D stuff.
No, they don't. Kieran Games sells it. I'm just making a connection through all of them.
If you want to find a house that's perfect for playing D&D in,
D&D, that's
talk to Geekway Homes. Yeah. And if you want to talk D&D while getting a massage, then there you go.
Also true.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about this. Going back to game, it's like you gave in-game warnings, you gave the metagame, like the common sense advantage in GURPS, where the GM has to tell you, "Are you sure you want to do that?" In this instance, and it's like he goes for it, and of course, and for weal or woe, and then but like my character made a deal with Strahd. She is pen pals with Strahd. She made it.
There is sort of that.
She totally backdoored a deal with him and like warned him that people were coming to get him and all this shit. It's secret from the rest of the party, and it's like, yeah, so.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? He'll get epic. We'll get epic. We'll kill him when it's time. Right now, we got bigger fish to fry. Okay, so chill the fuck out.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. He's evil. He's 9 feet tall. Whatever. It's like he's really scary.
I mean, my feeling, really, honestly, I think he's got buyer's remorse, and I really do think that it ended up being what happened with me. He doesn't feel like his character's a hero. So he feels like his character became an idiot.
Well, the NPCs that were mass healed feel otherwise.
I know, but he's not going with that.
Yeah.
And because I remember to add to what Alex was saying, I didn't mean to actually run over you, Alex. Sorry. But to add to what Alex was saying, I remember him shrugging his shoulders and going, "It's what my character would do," which means that he knew. And I even remember saying, yeah, I mean, because of that, I have been realizing my character should be just firing off wild magic all the time because that's what my character would do. Yeah. She's chaotic.
Yeah. And so now you mentioned it, he totally said that. And when he said that, I was like, that's in line with what my understanding of your character is. Yeah.
It's, I mean, if I had his pet ferret jump up and go, "What are you doing?" and start slapping her, it'd be like, "No, I've got this. You just sit over here and watch." And that,
it's like, you didn't railroad the player. You came up with. I mean, it's sort of like, I mean, I can understand. And this is the thing that it's one of the levers or knobs you can do to kind of direct gameplay. Like when we were playing in the Earth Dawn game, Bedan knew he could dangle, "They're slavers," and we would be like, "Let's fucking kill them." It's like,
we weren't gonna. I got a lunch appointment. They can do what they're doing.
Where are they at? Let's get them. Yep. Hop on the airship or pre-airship days. Let's head over there. Let's track them down. Let's kill them to a man.
I guess the thing that was puzzling me is the end result of mass healing was easily within that character's reach without having to seek other methods. And what I kept trying to push for the player to do was, if you want to do this, just do it the way you know works. Don't try to find a brand new way to do it. I mean, this is how Nothics are made. It's wizards trying to tap into for power that they can't normally reach.
And I know that I've asked several times. I'm like, "Hey, can I push this way?" And you're kind of like, not deity enough, or not high enough level, or you don't have a good enough understanding in game, character in game. I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
but if it's usually if it's cosmetic, there's a green light given right away.
Oh yeah,
because that's one, it's good play, and two, there's moments where it absolutely makes sense for the showing how the powers are manifesting.
Yeah, and like with I mean, in the specific instance, you said that like the whole breaking through the bars when we were all imprisoned in Neverwinter. I mean that like, you can look at my character sheet, like the whole this sword does maximum damage versus unattended objects. I took that ability. I spent the points for it.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah.
But so yeah, before I knew that this was causing the player a lot of trauma, I'm on a Facebook Dungeon Masters helping thing, and I had posted to it. I was like, I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me. I'm like, hey, I've done some research on Vecna. I have a pretty good handle on him. It seems like his main things he's after are the Hand of Vecna and the Eye of Vecna, but this feels like it's been done too much. Does anybody have any suggestions? Here's the setup. A player, here's who the player is roughly. They now owe Vecna a favor, and that favor can include anything, but it is a one-time favor. What do you guys suggest? And I got lots of awesome suggestions. Some of them will take like 5 minutes in game and then done. Another is going to be like another 5 or 6 game sessions of the character having to do the thing.
Right.
And
Vecna
so
wants a cafe cafe au lait from this coffee shop with this many kinds of beans roasted for this long.
But they were all good suggestions, and until the player complained to me, my next step was I was going to ask the players, how many sessions do you want this side quest to take, because I have lots of options. And with default option being there for Kevin, Hop, I said his name. Quick, we'll edit and post. But I was going to let that player decide, okay, I really don't want to deal with this. Let's just make it the one really quick, simple thing. Or, oh, this would be a fun adventure and develop my character more because they have to go through this. So let's make it one of the harder things.
Yeah. My vote right now is whatever's coolest. Or, like Penny Arcade's been doing a thing where they're like, have been defining the like 1990s term sweet. That's sweet. And it's like something that's like cheesy and cringe and awful, but also pretty fucking awesome. So whatever's the sweetest, that's what I vote for.
Now, not gonna lie,
of course, my vote has less sway than the actual players. So
yeah, I mean, I guess my thought is, since this is causing him consternation, let him decide. Say, I've got a couple of options as to how to resolve this. Right. One of them could be really stupid and simple, takes one session.
It doesn't even take a session. It's like 10 minutes.
Right. It'll take no time whatsoever. And then I've got another one that will drag you around a little bit and give you some character development.
You go to the Shadowfell. You go, you trade a little bit of blood for Vecna be gone.
Go to the Shadowfell.
Rub it on your chest. You're done. You go back home. The end.
Ivy hates it when we go to the Shadowfell. But yeah, I mean, that would be what my recommend. And then that puts it back in the player's hands on this one, which I think would be good, because I feel like that particular player is feeling like, I really think the problem is the player feels a little powerless on this one.
Well, what's funny is it has no negative effect at the moment, and I wasn't even going to have Vecna call on the favor until 4 or 5 games from now, because you guys already have your hands full with other stuff, first of all.
Yeah.
So it would be a really tough challenge to say, you need to go do this thing for me now, when the group needs their healer to go with them on this huge assault the castle mission.
Right.
So I wasn't going to say you have to go do the thing now because you have other stuff going on. It was just going to be later down the road. It would be hey, here's the thing you need to do for me. One of the other suggestions too was, I need to have something that when the favor is not being done after once asked, it cumulatively is some kind of penalty or problem that builds up until it's done. Because otherwise, if it's like the penny for 12 CDs thing, and then you just don't complete it, there's no penalty for it.
Right. Did you watch Dale Kingsmill's video on Warlocks?
I don't think I did.
It is I may be misquoting, but she says that one of the things that she's kind of expecting from any Warlock player of hers is that eventually they will break the pact. And so, and she says that she tries to seed in little, because it's an ongoing pact, little ass, do this thing or leave this thing here or things of that nature. And as they increase in level and power, it becomes more and more demanding, including, you don't get to know the whole plan, but I want you to do this thing, and the eventually they get to the thing where the player, and of course she'll engineer it this way, she's the GM, where the player will balk and say we're done with this, and like one of the things that she says that is appropriate she's done is that like other warlocks from the same patron come knocking and causing problems. And so it'd be very easy for Vecna's like, hey, I want you to go to this one place and just grab this thing and just sort of like leave it in this PO box, mail it to this address. And I'm not going to do that because you're Vecna. And, well, fuck around and find out.
Yeah.
Vecna's going to send some people.
Yeah, I've got the bad stuff already figured out.
Yeah.
But I had told the player when they were complaining to me, I said, well, here's how I saw it. And now I know how you saw it. I want to ask the other players how they saw it, because if the other players, they feel the same as you and they feel like I misled you in a way that was inappropriate gameplay, then I'm willing to retcon it. But I feel like I told him that I really feel like most players were on the same page that I was on, and you were the only one who was missing what was happening.
Yeah, because we had two other players.
I'm trying to figure out if I feel like he's changed his, like he's adjusted his thought process, because I felt like he was pretty clear that night.
He said it was what my character would do. And you know what? Sometimes you run into a place where your character is going to do something that you don't want to do. And to stay true to the character, you do it, or the character does it, I'm actually kind of facing that down right now with my character.
Yeah.
So I'm we'll talk about that if you want to. But it's like, as Guy said, pretty fucking clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least from us, like I said, there's two other players around the table at that point in time. Maybe plus our online player was there.
Yep.
So our newly returned player was there, as I said, newly returned. So obviously talk to them about it too, just to poll the public.
Yeah, this was originally just going to be a copy and paste email I was going to send to everybody, so that way they wouldn't feel like they would have to, whatever they said would be just between me and them, so they could say whatever they wanted. But with what was brought up earlier, I felt like, well, this is probably an interesting topic to somebody out there who's role players or DMs. And it's
I ran into a situation, and you were there, I think, in the Earth Dawn game where Nazir died.
Yeah.
I killed Nazir off.
We all cried.
Yes, we had a funeral. We all cried our fucking eyes out. It was bonkers. But it was a situation where a recurring villain had set up had set up a situation where my character could not win through combat, and my character was the combat machine was one of the combat machines of the party. Funny story, tangent. We start playing the Earth Dawn game. Bob's at the Earth Dawn game. Another friend of ours is in the Earth Dawn game, and then our GM. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to play a combat machine, but I still like some fighting stuff. I think I'll play a scout. It'll be kind of cool, ranger-ish. They kind of blend in cool situations. And then Bob goes, I'm playing a troubadour. And another character says, I'm playing a magic user. I'm like, well, I guess I'm the combat guy. Which was hilarious. But anyway, so the situation was set up that my character could not win through combat. And so it was like in this big building, but it was not like a lair. It was just sort of like the situation, like that our villain had set up a situation and gone to this place, but it wasn't like their lair. It wasn't like, oh, I have all these lair actions, or oh, I can throw you in this cauldron or whatever. It's just like a big tall building. And my character's like, I drop my swords and I fucking bum rush the show. I jump on his ass and I grab him and I throw us through the fucking 12th story window. And the rest of the party gets there just as and my character fucking died. And I'm like, that's what my character would do. And I was like, and I literally set down the character sheet and said, goodbye to the best character I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea he was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
But he did.
Which was awesome. Anyway, but yeah, it's like sometimes characters put you, they've got lives of their own and goals of their own and motivations of their own. And I can see being a player and being like, wow, I really didn't want that to happen, but it's what they would do.
Mm-hmm.
And just sort of like kind of go with that. And once again, Satan ain't going to say, hey, by the way, I'm Satan.
Hi, I'm Satan.
Make this deal. It'll be awesome for me. I mean, you. Wait a minute. Or like that Venture Brothers episode with like these Nazis show up and try to clone Hitler. It's like, wait a minute. You guys are Nazis. Nein, we're not. Oh, your fake German accent's terrible. This is und outrage. Oh, yours is way worse. Way worse. Get out of here. Right? It's like, yeah, you.
Mm-hmm. So
yeah, you didn't railroad him into the situation.
You didn't railroad him.
You're not railroading him after it. You didn't say, hand me your sheet.
Right, or you now can't cast anything.
Yeah, make a new character. Alex will help you. It's like,
yeah, right. Alex is
the character's trying to physically cut off the mark off of their chest, and it's not working. And then they're healing themselves, and it's like it doesn't. The mark doesn't hurt. This is all just built up in I know it's an evil god because I was told it's an evil god, and in church they told me it was an evil god, and now I'm marked by the evil god, therefore I'm tainted and useless. And it's like, I don't know where this is coming from. The character is still 100% the character. Yeah. They owe a favor.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, that's why I was saying I think that a lot of this probably has a lot to do with he feels like the character is no longer a hero.
Right. And doing whatever favor is going to be asked is impossible to do, and the character would never do it. Is just the impression I got. It's like, because I said, you don't even know what's going to be asked of you. And he's like, well, Valeria won't do it because it's not the character's path to do evil things. It's like, well, then bad things are going to happen because it's just how it is. So.
I mean, there has been a couple of problems that I've had specifically with that character. And the operation of that character that we've kind of had, where I think that the player limits the character as well, especially now having watched of all things, Vox Machina, where I watch how they operate Pike. It's the same character build, so to speak. I mean, that's still
just no combat, just no melee combat.
Right. I mean, but she's still very much a cleric.
Oh yeah.
And cleric class, and with a group of effectively murder hobos. You know what I mean? And I think that the most interesting part about that is that they've teamed her up with the barbarian effectively. And the barbarian just wants to kill everything. And you have that interesting dichotomy between those two characters, which I think has been fascinating. And I realize how many times Pike just turns a blind eye to the things that are going on. And it's clear that she's like, well, where I feel like Valeria as the character in the game has also had quite a few moments of, we can't do this. There's absolutely no way we can, kind of like went against the yes and concept. Mm-hmm. And I just, I think maybe what needs to happen is that, the individual in question needs to sit down and think about how they're playing the character on this one. Because I think they're limiting themselves.
Yeah. He's often complaining that nobody lets him do anything. And it's like, I'm not saying that don't do things. No, absolutely do things. Make mistakes. It's more fun that way. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Some of the players' personality is, I think, leaking into, which of course, makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't think he can feel bad. He can not like a direction, but he can't say it was forced on him. He can't. I mean, it's
Yeah,
I mean, he can, but it's like looking at it. It's like, we did this, this happened, I had the Raven Queen say, "What are you doing?" Or I had the Raven Queen like get all up in your face and go, and then you tried it again, and Oswald showed up ready to fight, and he didn't because you adventured with him. He knows you. You guys are friends.
Yeah, the question never came up from anybody.
Yeah.
Although I could tell Oswald was thinking it, but the question never came up. It's like, what if he didn't know me? How would this have gone down?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like
Oswald was ready to fucking kill motherfuckers. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And then he saw, Nilfin, and he's like, wait a second. And then he saw Valeria. He's like, wait a hot second. Let's see if we can talk this out. Because one, I'll probably die, but hey, whatever. Two, these are people I know and have adventured with.
Yeah. Sidebar: Alex's secondary character is considerably lower level character. Yeah. Did Oswald adventure with other secondary player characters? Because I don't think he did.
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Because we've done some side games here and there with other characters and stuff. No, unless you want to say he did, I don't think he did.
I don't think he has.
I mean, he has his own colleagues, but he had when he first adventured with the mainline group, they were the same level.
Yeah.
And now it's a few years later, and he is a few levels below them. They're like the mainline characters are 16th level. He's like, I forget something.
It was wherever that next
the +5 proficiency bonus or whatever.
Which is one of the things he points out to them is you guys are leveling. You guys are more powerful than you should be.
Yeah, when we adventured, you told me you wanted to seed that in. And I was like,
yeah.
We're on the campfire. We're talking about shit all the time. He's a cook. That's his like non-mage assassin role. And it's like we're talking and stuff. It's like you guys have been adventuring for what, 3 years? And he's like, I've been adventuring for like 8. Holy crap. Yeah, no. So but yeah, I mean, I think that obviously have a talk with the player.
Yeah.
See what he wants to do. Kind of even like say like, here's kind of like not just like something will take this much game time, something will take this much game time, but like hey, here's kind of what I was thinking. He doesn't want to make you like, eat babies. He does want certain things done. He's got his own goals, but here's kind of like, like almost like different, like more work for you. Hi, GM. But like a small explanation, almost like a trailer of if you choose this is kind of how it's going to like. This is our trailer. Ooh, what will happen? Or this. Ooh,
I have a built-in way for that to happen already from another player.
What? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Our recently returned player who is all sorts of branching paths.
You can see those things.
Yeah. Yes, you do. So,
in fact, her thing, her reintroduction was showing up to stop
40,
the deal from happening.
Possible futures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a neat way to introduce her. I thought was.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm here to stop this horrible deal from being made. Oh, never mind.
Miss it by that much.
Dang it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I first of all, I don't think you should feel bad.
Okay, thank you.
I think you did exactly what you were supposed to do. Since the individual is sort of doing the, but Julie could get away with stuff, then maybe what you probably should retort with is remind him that you don't necessarily let retcon occur unless you have to avoid it. So,
and I did not let Julie get away with anything.
I know, but I'm just saying that that's the nature of this particular player is since you let another character do it, you have to let me do it. Sort of his feeling on a lot of things. So remind him that we had to continue to in story fix Ivy. We had to in story fix Birion. We had to you know what I mean? Like all the characters that have been in story repaired.
Yeah.
They have to be repaired in story. So
Heck, I really hope it doesn't go this way, but honestly, if he was to say, I don't want to play her anymore, I can send her the same direction as Birion.
Boo.
I don't want to, but it's one of those, it's like these are players in this story. They're characters, whether the player runs them or not. They are major parts of the story.
Part of the story.
And so, but you don't have to pilot them if you don't want to.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing that I can think of, been drinking my thinking juice.
Yay.
That was not a spell and it was deific powered, was Julie reconsecrating her temple. Like Shar and Lolth had killed her mother, and it was all fucking wrecked and messed up, and so she kind of did that. That was a long ass time ago.
Yeah.
But it was also the kind of thing where like it seemed like it was definitely within her milieu.
Yeah, and I feel like I looked up the rules for it too.
Yeah. And like it was definitely in her idiom.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
And it was an area that had previously been consecrated.
Yes, it was
for a very long time.
It was the temple to the goddess, and so she. I mean, I don't even think she had to reconsecrate it necessarily. I don't think it was defiled.
Right.
You know, but she definitely like helped repair the damage, got rid of the Lolth webs everywhere, and was mostly doing it in order to show the worshippers at the temple that Aelis Tri was still with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as but far anyway. As I still don't know all the deific powers you've assigned to my character.
Right.
I just don't. And I also don't know all the ones that you have assigned to other players' characters, including this player. But we know some of the ones that have been assigned to this player. Like to be able to see the threads of fate and all that,
and to be able to see alignment,
yeah. And Julie's just been playing it by ear, so and trying to inspire people because that's her mom, goddess of inspiration.
Her mom, and those threads have come in very handy for tracking people down and stuff.
They have. I actually am kind of, I kind of am hoping that you have a long-term plan for Ivy, because right now I'm like, everybody's going to turn into a god, and Ivy's like, bye guys, or go cook goblins or something. So I hope you have a long-term plan for Ivy that fits in really well, that gives her enough heroic parts. You know, just saying, plant that seed now.
She's not going to become a god.
Honestly, as much as I make that joke, you don't feel obligated. I was just, after we'd gone through this whole thing, everybody wants their character to be a hero.
At the time,
about that. I was like,
you could be a hero and not be a god.
What?
Because I remember I told everybody, it's like, yes, I will have a character too, because people want to also co-GM, but my character won't be on the same path as everybody else, because I'm the main storyteller. Right. So therefore, my character will not benefit in the way that everyone else is.
Right.
When you changed characters, Guy, I said, well, I'm going to make your new character similar to Bach. The things that were happening with Bach will be what happens with her. And this is pretty much, I feel like you guys have sussed this out enough already. Anyone who adventures with you long enough, they're basically a follower, and they benefit in a way that they level quickly as well and develop their abilities as well. It's just, they don't have godly powers. The way I've gotten around that with Ivy is the quarter god and you became very connected. And so you don't have an ancestral item because that whole thing that didn't play out the way I intended it. And so your sister has the ancestral item. It's supposed to be you, but And so I'm like, well, all right, well, we know another god that we can get involved in this, and you already have a connection with her. And so you and the NPC character, who is really powerful, have a connection, and you can tap into powers that she has. And it's not so much that you like worship her, but you are, would be a good way to put it.
I don't know. I would almost say that there's a certain amount of worship, like a hero worship from Ivy to
It's
this clear issue.
okay. That works because I was looking at it as more of like a deep admiration, and
Yeah,
that,
but
that
Ivy sometimes is relatively simple, and sometimes it makes sense that she could just be a groupie to some degree. Though I don't think she'd be like a Swiftie sort of groupie. You know what I mean?
Like, no, you got a life to live. You can't follow her everywhere she goes.
But no, I would be into the idea of she's sort of not a maybe like a little bit of a groupie. That sounds cool to me.
Because your admiration feeds her stats through being a god, because gods need followers to worship them, and who better to be worshipped than a pop star?
Right.
So
well, and I really honestly, it's so funny. The new book that just came out for D&D, that picture that's in there in that book under that particular class of
glamour bard.
I think it was
glamour bard. My God, I'm just like, that is so both your character, the character we're talking about, and Ivy. Like in my head, that's the way I see them.
She'd be the goth version of the glamour bard.
Right, but I don't see Alex's character being that wild. I feel like Alex's character is more of like, there's no, I can't think of the word, but to me, it's just serious character, like a serious bard. Like when she sits down and plays the piano, it's Tori Amos, sort of effect, not Van Halen. You know what I mean? Like, but when I was seeing like Ivy, I was like, oh yeah, that's Kiss. You know what I mean? Like the face paint and
to me the difference with like
colors and
Julie is class,
right?
Whereas
if you're going to say that Ivy does not have the class that Julie has by any stretch, there's just not
royalty wants seats at a Julie concert.
Right.
Whereas they turn their noses up at people that go to an Ivy concert because they're snobs.
Right. But that doesn't mean that Ivy doesn't have throbs in her mosh pit. But she's got a mosh pit.
She's a bard of the people.
Yeah. Right. That's the way I sort of have always envisioned it. And when the two of our characters are together, it's sort of one of those, you could hear the whispers through the city. Did you hear those two actually hang out together? That's so weird, sort of thing. Because it's like, it'd be like, I don't know, trying to think of what it'd be like, but it'd be that kind of effect. Because that's the way I've always perceived it. But that picture in the book, I'm like, I didn't actually push. I didn't think that would be acceptable to push that far. But now that I've seen that it's literally in the rule book, we are pushing Ivy there. Because as soon as I saw that picture, I was like, that's her. I mean, like, that is such a freaking, it was like 80s hairband glam. I was like, I'm so into that. That is so beautiful. But yeah, I think that, and that adds a whole lot of great, that added a certain amount to me, like a seed. And we're going over and I'm not worried. Okay. But that added a seed.
Well, it also storyline wise makes perfect sense because you've spent a long time touring and learning with Carissa,
right?
And so
you has her own feel.
Yeah, up until then, you were basically using humor to get over your trauma, which made you the College of Jest.
Yeah,
and so switching colleges actually makes sense plot wise as well.
I agree. But I mean, as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, we got to push this. But I like the idea of kind of playing that a little bit more. If you're game,
sure,
Alex. I mean,
just like, that's totally cool.
I mean, I think that'd be kind of, I don't know what to play that as, but I like the idea that you are the classy really elegant, character, and mine's this like wild and woolly, bizarre, hairband Kiss character. I'm
totally cool.
Gene Simmons in the group,
Yeah, like a Tori or an Emily Autumn feel to Julie is very, very apropos.
Right.
Yeah, no, totally cool. And then and it's really funny because like until like Ivy joined the group, then like Julie would be doing both.
Yeah.
But she'd be like, "Oh, I'm the widow de Veuve, or the widow Dubois," when she is like all classy, and she'd all be like, "What?" She'd be, her another persona to be all, gutter punk, because it'd be like Julie would love being in like one of those time warp games. It's like, oh, we're in the modern day. Okay, well, that looks cool. Just do that. But no, I'm totally down with that. I don't think you'd be stealing my thunder at all, especially as I said, I've got changes coming up for Julie that I want to discuss with Troy. And we are going over, as we said. I do want to ask something, and I want to ask both of you because usually Troy stays behind and we chat, but sometimes you do not, Guy. I know you said that we lost a bunch of viewership, which is fine. When we shut down the podcast, is there a way that you push out the notice of, hey, remember, you can watch our most recent podcast here and here and here? Because if that's not a generic message, if that's a message you can add on to, you can be like, hey, you should be able to already do a small recap, but do a recap saying, hey, I know we started off with like some politics stuff, but we quickly changed over to D&D because we just didn't have our heart into it. Please check out the show at this and that place.
I'm currently scanning through here to see if there's anything I can change here with that.
Yeah, I don't know if we have any final shots that we can do.
Well, I mean, I was looking to see if we can alter the description of the show, because when you set up the show,
I just set up generic things. I never know what the hell we're.
Yeah, so I thought that they should have an outro ones. And even when we have a script, we go off script. So I mean, I always thought it'd be so like there was a thing like you could type in a quick thing of like wherein we start at Magic the Gathering and take a tour through driving school again, or whatever.
An uncommon thing with it. Speaking of driving, no, I'm just kidding.
Stop it.
I actually don't even have anything to say, but it'd been funny. I think, and Troy, your statement that you just made actually like that puts pieces in place. Because you and I have already kind of put through you were like, what are your character's goals? And I'm like, I don't think my character knows what her goals are, but I know what the player's goals are for the character. But the character herself, she has no goals at the moment. She has things, she's got waypoints she needs to go through, but she doesn't know she doesn't want to face it, is really what it's boiling down to. So the way you just put it, that makes some sense. And I actually kind of like the idea that maybe her music is starting to show cracks. You know what I mean? Like,
well, early on when you were playing, this is a long time ago, after it's like the first or second game after you'd left Carissa's care, you had some darker, moodier songs, and some of the players were noticing how it was kind of draining the audience and feeding you.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And she reversed that because that's not her thought process, but I think in her darker hours, that's what's going to end up happening. She'll start playing moodier. Maybe I should come up with some moodier music for her. Not come up with some moodier.
You need to watch The Wedding Singer.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bullshit. It was a fucking joke. When I think of you like that, I hope you fucking joke. I was listening to The Cure a lot when I wrote this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, I'll be able to. I can edit the thing that Alex was talking about on Facebook. I'm not super versed with our other two formats, Twitter.
I think Facebook's probably the one that most important.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we. I think that I'm most concerned that we kind of scared
Bob away.
Bob. Yeah.
And I don't blame him at all.
I don't blame him either.
I just know that everybody's going to have your own different ways of dealing with the situation.
Yeah,
and
sometimes, I mean, yeah, it's okay to take some time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
We should end so I could talk to Troy about character things if he can.
So now I do think we may have run out of. Yeah. So I think that we may be actually now running to the end of our show. After all of this, we finally get to the end.
That was a weird stutter there.
Right.
What happened?
You ready to go there over there?
I think so.
Because I was just going to. Yeah. I'm going to say that that's probably all the time that we have for today. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope to see you next week. But until then, I've been Guy.
I've been Troy.
And I've been Alex.
There we go. And this is Geek Tank.